Hey everybody, welcome back to Nick's Mini Bikes. Today we got our Coleman B200 here. We put our first Predator 224 engine in here. After 60 hours, we rebuilt it once. I didn't really like the way the rod and piston were acting in this engine when we put it together after the rebuild, but everything seemed to be measuring fine when I checked parts. So this is about 20 hours after the rebuild, and Kaitlyn was out riding it with her friends, and she blew the motor up. So I'm going to pull this engine off here real quick and open it up and see what happened inside. So I'm going to get this off of here, and then I'll bring it right back. I don't know if the audio will pick up what it's doing, but we'll try, see what happens. So yeah, I'm thinking that that EC carburetor rod has left the chat. So I'm going to get this engine off of here, and then I'll bring you back and we'll open it up. Okay, we got that motor out of there. Now I'm just going to drain the oil out, and we'll get that side cover taken off. So I'm going to say that's the first issue that we found, and probably our main issue. There wasn't almost any oil in there. So live and you learn, you know. Check your oil before you go. We'll get these vents off here, and we'll get that side cover off. So here's the inside of our side cover. We got chunks of metal in there. Our cam, even though it's covered in goo and chunks, looks okay. So that's nice. Here's our cap, just laying in the bottom, which is very interesting. There's one of our rod bearings. It's in pretty rough shape. Our tappets look fine. One. There's our other one. They look fine. There's part of a rod bolt. Other half of the bearing. So here's the mess we have inside the block. There's chunks of stuff everywhere. Shavings everywhere. all kinds of stuff. I don't have any holes in the block though, so that's good. You can see that rod back there. Back in here, it is chewed to shreds. The crank is toast. So I'm going to take a second and I'm going to pull that flywheel off so I can get that crank out and give you a better look at it. Alright, we got our flywheel off. Let's pull this crank out and take a look at it. So, really hard to see for you guys, but it's trash. It's completely chewed up on that journal. Not worth fixing. They're so cheap, you just buy a new one. So that's toast. Here's a look inside that crankcase. Don't look like there's any damage to the crankcase, really. Just carnage. Chunky stuff everywhere. Chunks. It's took the spark plug out so we could just pull this out this direction here. There it is. Let's see. That was an EC Pinnacle rod. Number 8281. So what do you think happened? I have my ideas. This is a Racer Pro Quip piston, flat top piston here. So like it found some stuff. Hit a few things while it was inside there. There's only about 20 hours on this. I guess I can look. Yep, 21.8 hours on this. Top ring is froze, probably because of some of these. But yeah, that's it. So there's that. We got a complete cap. This is what we got that gives me an idea of what happened. We got chunks. So what I think happened was these rod bolts, which are both fully intact still, There's one there, and here's the other one. I think those rod bolts backed out, and yeah, carnage ensued. So this whole setup here is no good. This is no good, obviously. That crank is no good. So I know I torqued these to spec, at least as far as what my torque wrench said. Why'd they back out? I don't know. What do you think? So this block is still good. Let me get that head off and we'll see what it looks like inside of it. So there's the head. Something was in there, right there. It's going to take a little love to get rid of that. But everything else looks fine. The valves feel fine. They move anyway. So yeah. Head gasket looks fine. I'm having a hard time showing it, but the cylinder doesn't have any scoring in it. It just needs a quick hone job to get our crosshatch back in there. It's fine. So this block survived somehow. Just needs a good cleaning and a couple parts ordered, and she'll be good to go. So what do you think happened? Do you think we broke the ends off of the rod here and it just went south from there? Do you think the bolts backed out and then the crank ate the ends off of this rod? What do you think happened? I think that the bolts backed out and then it just ate itself from there. I think considering she blew the engine up, this is best case scenario. The head is fine, the block is fine, the side cover is fine, the cam is fine, the tappets are fine, everything else inside the block is fine. So we're going to have to get a new piston, a new rod, and a new crank. And we'll have this back together running sooner or later. But for now, it's going to go in a box in pieces. And once we get those parts in, I'm going to go to an ARC rod. When we rebuilt it after 60 hours, I put a new crank, a new rod, and a new piston. And it just didn't feel right. Like at top dead center and bottom dead center, just felt like there was some play that it shouldn't have. You know, it doesn't like pop over. It just kind of went clunk, 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 clunk at the top and at the bottom. Just didn't feel right. So I think we're going to go with ARC this time. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think happened. And make sure you like and subscribe. And we'll catch you on the next one.